Hey everyone, I'm CJ.
And I'm Noah.
And this is TV Pop Culture, episode 54, for the week of January 27th, 2013.
Fantastic.
Now, I'd like to start this episode off, if I could,
Alright.
by talking to you guys a rebooted comic series entitled X-O Manowar, which is published by Valiant Comics.
As you can see, they have some of their wonderful titles on display here.
Yes, and a little bit of information. Valiant recently came back into the comic book scene on May the 2nd, 2012, and X-O Manowar was actually their debuting issue. Valiant Comics has now changed their name to Valiant Entertainment, and I have to say has been doing a remarkable job with their ongoing issues. So before we get into the 6-part epic, which just started this past week, called Planet Death for X-O Manowar,
About to get real.
I'd like to get into a little bit of history
Alright.
on said series.
Okay.
Now, the main character of the story is named Eric of Darcia. He is heir to the Visigoth throne, and the first issue starts off with him suffering a humiliating defeat by the Roman Empire, losing both his father and his wife.
Yikes.
Soon after, he seeks revenge on the Roman Empire. However, he mistakes an alien force as a Roman patrol. This alien force is known as the Vine, and they soon capture Eric along with a platoon of warriors from across the planet. The reason why they are capturing them is because they are seen most fit for slave labor. So we already know right off the hop that this alien race is not the usual peace-loving race that we see in most science fiction films.
Right.
It's more of, take us to your leader.
Us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is how they say the pyramids were built.
After, you know, I could believe that to a certain extent.
Well, if you believe, I'm not gonna say it.
Anyways, after about roughly 7 to 10 years,
Right.
on board a Vine slave ship, Eric manages to break into a temple where the Vine keep one of their most sacred relics. We know it as the X-O Manowar armor.
They know it as Shahar.
Yes. Eric manages to bond with the armor and the power of Shahar, and is therefore able to break out of the ship and return to Earth. Unfortunately, Gafty, one of his most trusted friends, is presumed lost, or in other words, dead, during the escape. He finally manages to make it back to Earth and finds out that 1,600 years have passed, and it is now the early 21st century. He finds himself surrounded by strange societies and even stranger people.
So he's worse off than Captain America was.
Yeah, pretty much. Eric, however, is able to meet an ally who's named Alexander Darian, who is in no way related to someone who may or may not be helping us with editing on the show. We find out that Alexander is actually a Vine plantling who is more or less not completely agreeing with the Vine's ideals on what they want to do with the planet. He agrees to help Eric in fighting off the Vine invasion, and is, I suppose we could call him the Mr. Spock of this title.
Yeah.
Now this next part, I should warn you,
Spoiler.
requires a spoiler alert. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I suggest you skip past the next 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. You've been
In
warned.
Issue 8, right before the prologue, we find out that Alexander has been banished from the meeting place, which is a psychic link between the minds of the Vine Council and the Saplings. And then in Issue 9, which, just for a reminder, came out mid this past week.
Right.
After a giant battle between Eric and the Vine in Manhattan, we find out that Eric's friend Gaffney is still alive, not dead after all, and is now being used against Eric by some sort of mind control device, or that's what we've been led to believe.
He's basically a bargaining chip with a suit.
That would be that would be a very accurate description of it. We are then left at the end of this issue with a short little preview for the next issue in the form of a one-page artwork where Gaffney is holding Eric by the collar of his shirt and wearing the Man of War armor with a title saying on it,
"A new Man of War rises."
Precisely. Now, no matter what happens, we know the next issue is going to be fantastic.
Right.
We know it's going to be brilliant out there. No matter what happens, there's almost guaranteed to be a huge battle scene. The only thing I could hope for,
some drama.
Well, not necessarily drama, but a battle scene that would engulf the entirety of Manhattan.
Well, think about this. The drama would be right from because you said Gaffney is mind controlled, right?
That's what we've been led to believe. Yes.
So Eric might have to fight his friend, and that could lead to a bit of a "I don't want to fight my very best friend" thing.
Yeah, and that could lead to some problems. But on the other hand, I'd also have to disagree with you because Eric is a Visigoth, and he has been imprisoned by these people. If he knows his friend's not in control,
he won't fight
with
him.
How his character has been portrayed so far, I could see it going either way.
Right. Either he might fight him or he won't.
That's part of the thing. We don't know anything until the next issue comes out.
We don't,
which won't be until February.
Unfortunately, we have no mole on the inside walls of these companies.
We have no information on what's going on with all this, or if that is what's going to happen. If maybe Manhattan gets completely leveled.
It's happened before in comic books many times.
Now there is one thing. While we're on the subject of Valiant, there's one other thing I want to bring up. In April, Valiant plans on having another ongoing story arc for the Harbinger, entitled The Harbinger Wars. If you go to their website, which you will be able to find a link in the description box down below, you will see that on one of the photos, it has the main character from Bloodshot standing with both his guns out of their holsters, and the entire Harbinger team lying on the floor, presumably dead.
I'm pretty sure one of them had a sword in their body.
Yeah, what I'm kind of wondering is, what does that mean for the Harbinger team? Is the team going to be killed off? Are they going to introduce new characters? Is Valiant going to do a kind of Justice League or Avengers type thing?
We don't know.
I think it'd be interesting to kind of bring some of the other character titles in to Harbinger.
Right.
Especially because I think Eric from X-O Manowar would make a perfect addition to the team.
He could be like a leader.
Again, that's my opinion. But, anything could happen. One of the things I did notice, though, is that that's scheduled for an April release.
Right.
Now, the X-O Manowar Planet Death is a 6-issue story arc.
Right, so it's going to take at least 6 months.
Exactly. So by the time it ends, it'll probably be somewhere in June or July.
Right.
What I'm kind of wondering is Planet Death going to cross into the Harbinger War?
That would be interesting. Because think about it, they're at the height of their crossovers, and if they cross over, it might potentially pull people into Harbinger who are fans of Manowar, and pull people who are fans of Manowar into Harbinger.
Exactly. And, I think it'd be a brilliant idea because you're taking already two big storylines.
Right.
And pushing them into one giant storyline. But again, that's just my opinion as a fan. And no matter what happens, I'm sure Valiant will find some way to surprise us.
Right. Valiant Comics used to publish Turok, right?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And unfortunately, they don't publish him right now.
Well, I can't see that being
Permanent?
the case, permanently.
Hey, everybody. Remember when Turok was on the N64 and he rocked?
Speaking of video games, I have some video game related news.
Ooh.
To be specific, about the new Xbox and new PlayStation. The new Xbox, or Xbox 720, Durango, whatever you decide to call it.
Durango Unchained. Ah!
And boo. So the new Xbox will be getting a 81.6 gigahertz CPU core processor, a 8 gigabyte RAM, one direct 11.1 class 800 MHz graphics processor, 500 gigabyte HD hard drive, and Blu-ray. So with this being said, Xbox is finally making their way into the Blu-ray market. I, for one, am excited being an Xbox fan because, well, let's be honest, most Xbox fans bought the PS3 because of Blu-ray.
Well, I also bought it because the exclusives were awesome.
Yeah, a lot of the exclusives, well, for both sides.
Yeah, well, I mean, Microsoft has a little bit less, but they still have good quality stuff like Gears, Halo, Forza Motorsport, etc.
I think Gears would be a lot better if they took like a Mario direction, gave him a koala suit that shot laser beams.
Well, you can attack the giant chicken in the third one.
It's not the same. Anyways, moving on. The PS4, or the new PlayStation, whatever they're going to call it, will have 8 gigabytes of RAM, a 4x dual-core AMD 64 Bulldozer, a AMD R100, which first came out in 2012, which is already making this console a little bit dated.
Well, personally, I don't think graphics are going to get much better unless, it's on the PC. Because that system is always evolving. You have to
PC gaming, or at least serious PC gaming, is dying.
Right.
I hate to be the one to say this, but, I mean, okay, how many people own a desktop now? Think about it, when we're old, we're going to tell our kids that there had to be, at one point in time, a special place in the house for a computer.
Yeah.
And it will blow their mind.
Just like I'm going to tell them that TV used to exist.
Yeah. It will also have a 300 gigabyte HD hard drive, and one of the most interesting facts that I found about this is that your count is going to be stored in your controller.
What?
Yeah, that was my response
Okay.
too. I was kind of confused.
What if I get angry during the heavy bout of Street Fighter against some kid in Malaysia?
Controller.
Yeah.
What happens if you lose your controller? What happens if one of your friends confuses it for theirs?
Eric, why is there so much porn on my account?
Now, you said you had some Nintendo news.
Actually, I first want to
offset.
Right, but first I want to just say one more thing about the PS4. Square Enix, please, can we have Kingdom Hearts 3 as a launch title? I think we've all waited long enough for this game.
It'll happen. If they can make money, it'll happen.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on to Nintendo, because they are not staying out of the big news race.
They're going to own our childhood and remain ominous and dark over the industry for another decade, at least.
They're never going down, let's face it. As long as kids and, children buy their stuff, they'll keep printing money. But anyway, Nintendo recently had a Nintendo Direct broadcast this past week and revealed quite a bit of information about new upcoming titles for the Wii U console, which it desperately needs right now, because there is literally nothing to buy.
Well, there's that new Mario game. Oh, come on. You tell me right now it wouldn't be fun to screw up your friend's game.
It would. And we do have Rayman Legends coming in February, but there's kind of a glut of stuff we don't know. But now we do know quite a bit. They have announced, for one thing, that they are working on a new Zelda title that will be going back to the basics of the first couple games.
Okay.
Whether or not it will be all pixelated in 2D, that would be cool personally, but we don't know. We don't know what's going on in Miyamoto's head right now. But whatever comes out of it is going to be pure gold, I assume. Just saying, based on his track record.
Yes.
But anyway, they announced that to tide us over, they will be releasing, hopefully sometime in the fall of this year, an HD remake of the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for the GameCube.
Okay.
They also announced that they will have new Mario Kart, a new Mario platformer akin to something like Mario Galaxy, so I don't know, is Mario going to go like Star Wars on us? Darth Bowser, maybe? Goomba Stormtroopers, because they're the easiest things to kill in that universe?
There's one thing you're forgetting, though. Princess Leia knows how to shoot a gun. Princess Peach is completely incompetent.
Well, she has the umbrella.
Like I said, Princess Peach is completely incompetent.
Right. But anyway, you mentioned if Mickey Mouse was in the new Star Wars.
Luke, I'm your father!
You're a mouse! I'm a duck! But anyway, let's see. Oh yes, Shin Megami Tensei. I assume you at least heard that series.
I've heard the name, yes.
It's crossing over with the Fire Emblem series to create a new strategy RPG for the Wii U.
So kind of like a Smash Brothers thing.
No, it's an RPG, but it's an RPG, you know.
Okay, so kind of like a Smash Brothers brawl thing.
No, it's not a fighting game. But in a general sense,
Brawl
yeah.
had a storyline.
Yes, but yes, in that general sense, but it's not particularly a fighting game. I don't know if that's what you're trying to imply.
No, that's not what I was trying to imply.
Okay. Yes, in the general sense, it's a Smash Brothers type thing, like what Sony did with their Smash Brothers ripoff. They also announced that Game Boy Advance games will be coming to the Wii U Virtual Console, and that there may be possibilities that they can cross-play with the 3DS Virtual Console. Why they didn't just stick them on the 3DS?
Why not? Yeah, why not just re-release them?
Yeah, on the 3DS. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm for one going to be happy to play Mega Man Battle Network on my TV.
Okay.
And one last piece of Nintendo news. Actually, two pieces. We saw a in-development trailer of Bayonetta 2, which is going to be an exclusive for the console, published by Nintendo.
Okay.
We saw more footage of the Wonderful 101, also published by Nintendo, developed by Capcom Games, etc., etc. And Monolith Soft, the developer behind the Xenoblade Chronicles game, which became a huge hit last year when it finally reached North America, but was only a GameStop exclusive. They are developing a new RPG, currently called the working title of X, and the trailer designs were quite a bit like the character designs of Xenoblade Chronicles, so perhaps this may be a sequel, perhaps not. And finally, for all you 3DS players, you have some good news and things to look forward to out of the new Pokemon games. Just don't.
What are you talking about? I wasn't going to say anything.
I knew what you were thinking. Anyway, the long-awaited Project Cross Zone, which came out in Japan last summer, I believe last fall, is finally being localized by Namco Bandai and released on the 3DS this summer of 2013. The game, for those of you who don't know, is a massive crossover Smash Brothers type thing between three different Japanese developers: Namco Bandai, Capcom, and Sega. Unfortunately, we will not be getting Sonic the Hedgehog characters. Maybe it's DLC.
Just when are they going to realize that that's the only way they're going to make more money?
I know. But the characters included are from, Capcom base such as Mega Man, Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Darkstalkers. Namco has the Tales series, that Dot Hack, Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Sega has Valkyria Chronicles and all their other crap they created that's Sonic.
Anywho, if I could move on,
Alright.
we have some Doctor Who news.
Oh boy, we always have a lot of that.
So to celebrate the world's longest sci-fi series, which will be having its 50th anniversary come this year in November, the New Zealand Mint will be launching a 1-ounce silver 0.999 coin, which will be featuring an engraved picture of the TARDIS on one side, as well as a unique 50th anniversary logo. And on the other side, there'll be Elizabeth's face, and no one really cares. It'll be packaged in a 3D model replica of the TARDIS, which will make the iconic TARDIS noise from the show.
When you open it.
Yeah.
So, but there's no guarantee that you will travel through space-time continually.
Well, it's not bigger on the inside.
Oh.
The coin itself will be worth somewhere around $2, whether it's $2 US or $2 Canadian. They
But it'll probably
haven't
cost you
specified.
$50 to buy it.
Actually, no price on the coin has been announced.
Alright.
The New Zealand Mint also announced that it will be releasing collectible coins for each Doctor, along with the upcoming Doctor that will be taking over Matt Smith sometime within 2014 or 2015.
And they're probably going to be $30 a coin to buy.
More than likely, but again, no price has been announced.
Are you really willing to spend $30 11 times to get the Doctors?
I would just get my favorite one. Come on, if they had a Tom Baker coin and you could get it in Canada, you'd buy it. I know
Yes,
you would.
Yes, it's Tom freaking Baker.
Anyways,
He traveled to Scotland. Come on, you got to give him that.
other Doctors have traveled to Scotland too.
Yeah, but their episodes aren't lost relics. Well, most of them.
Anyways,
Please God,
I'm
let us
CJ.
get the hammer someday. And I'm Noah. I'm going to be depressed for the rest of the day.
And this has been TV Pop Culture episode 54. Thanks for tuning in.
Fantastic.